roll call.
Mayor Denise Delmar,
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem John Harabedian,
Here?
Councilmember Rochelle Arzmende.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum and may conduct city business.
Okay. Just to note that we do have Councilmember Goss and Councilmember Capoccio away today. But we got the three of us. We're going to do this. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I really have no inspiration or invocation. I think the Pledge of Allegiance at this time of year is apropos, and I hope we all feel it, and we celebrate our birthday on July 4th. Thank you.
No, I'm just going to get my chair.
Okay. Next on our agenda is our minutes from June 12th.
They look great to me. No changes.
Don't
A
you
motion?
Move to approve?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do we have any council member reports?
No report from me.
I don't have any either.
And neither do I. Thank you. Approval of agenda as presented. Yes.
I will move the approval of the agenda.
Didn't we have some changes to the agenda?
You know what?
We're gonna
We're gonna pull item 1A
A from consent calendar.
and continue that to a future date. Is that gonna be continued for next meeting or just?
Should be July 10th.
Okay. With that, I'll move for approval.
I'll
So
se-
did we get that? We're pulling item 1A. Alrighty.
And I'll second that.
So next up is our public comment. Do we have anybody in the audience who would like to address the council for items not on the agenda tonight? If so, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor Del Mar and council members. I wanted to suggest to you that the proposed new water rates, which are having the 218 ballot thing now, which proposes 2 tiers instead of the old 4, should be changed. I don't believe 2 tiers is a fair system. I think 3 would be to the ideal. I understand the reason to want to simplify things and go from 4 to 2, but the first tier is 0 to 14 units, and then the second tier, which is supposed to be the punitive tier for those who go over a certain amount. The highest tier is supposed to be the punitive one. It's anything over 14 units. There are a lot of families in this city with 4, 5, 6 adults in it. That is very hard to stay under 14 units. I think that there should be a second tier that is 14 to 18 or 14 to 20. And then anyone who goes over the second tier, you could sock it to them. $6, $7, $8 a unit, whatever you want to do to achieve the total amount of revenue you want to get for the water department. These rates are all calculated so that you cover the water department's expenses, and it's self-supporting. According to your to the chart, the first rate would be $2.70 and the second one $4.23, a lot more, which if you go over 14 you're trying to encourage people not to. I think the first one at $2.70 should be like $2.50 or something. Reward people for staying under that. The second one should be around $3.50, and then the third one, go to $6 or $7. Really hit them. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Parker from Mariposa. First of all, I'd like to say this is so exciting having Mike Smith here. because I watched the race. It was so much fun. And I'm watching it, and all of a sudden my son, who lives in New Jersey, is on Facebook with the race. I'm like, are you there? It's like, of course, Mom. How would I have this? And I'm like, oh, my God, you're at the race. That's so cool. So I'm so happy that you're here. But I do think since all of us came to the meeting tonight that we deserve a photo with you.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's so nice. It'll be a great movie. I show films about horses to my students. They love it. And I'm not going to tell them I met you, which I really didn't, but I hope that you do get to make a movie. It was fabulous. You just, boom, came right out there. And it was so much fun to watch. Thank you. Okay, so now that I've taken most of my time, I'm up here because I've talked about this issue no, I can't think, to the community services, and I was told by a few people I should say something about the pool, which I love. I swim at the pool when I can, and I've been there about 4 years now. I really enjoy it. The people are wonderful. They're very friendly. They're very kind. But there's a few things that really need to be looked at. So what I have said before is when you go there, you get a schedule. So I go there to get a schedule, and I follow the schedule, but there's no date on the schedule. So when I get there, I can't go in and lap swim. So it's real frustrating. And when I've said, well, so about 2 weeks ago, I said, oh my God, I better get there because it's over at 9, and it was 8:45. So I got down there, and there was 1 lane free, and then children over here in the 2 lanes, that says you're facing the mountains, and there were some ladies over here. So the middle lane was free. So I asked the woman, may I go in? And she said yes, and then a gentleman came out and said, well, no, it's late. And I said, but nobody's in the lane. And he said, I know, but it's late. And I said, but nobody's in the lane. Is anybody coming? No. Well, here, take my $5 and let me just go. I'm just going to paddle at the end. No one's going to see me. I was very quiet about it. I wasn't loud about it. Nobody was there anyway. And he said, but someone might see you. And I said, who's going to see me? I'm just going to go on the deep end and paddle around. Let me go in. It's only 15 minutes. So I went in, and I paddled around for about 15, 20 minutes, and I came out, and I thought, this is crazy. It's so rigid. I'm here. A few other people could be here, too. They could make some money. So I let it go, and then it happened again. The other night, I went in, and there was a whole bunch of kids taking diving lessons. Well, these time schedules are supposed to be kept, which was the message to me. And so I went out there, and I looked, and I came back in, and 2 other women who wanted to lap swim were asking about it. And they were really upset, and I said, go to the city council. And they said, no, I want to swim now. I'm not going to. I said, no, not tonight. Go when we can, because this has to be reported. Well, anyway, we got ourselves in, and one lady said to me as we're flapping back and forth, I'm not talking about teenage swimming. I'm talking about getting in and kind of moving around. One woman said, you know, this is really sad because Sierra Madre is a nice place, and I like to swim here, but I realize it isn't a community pool. And I said, but it is a community pool. And she said, oh no, I've heard that it's just for lessons and for other schools to come and swim. And I said, that's actually not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be for the people of Sierra Madre. So she said, well, I didn't know that. So as I was going back and forth outside on a beautiful day with a beautiful view, I thought to myself, you know, I don't know where she got the information, but that is a feeling that you get when you're there. There's a lot of lessons. There's very little rec swim. And the problem I think that you guys, you all might want to know is that it closes at 5 on Saturday, at 4 on Sunday, and there is no night swim on Friday night. Well, it gets hot in California, September, October, or August, September, October. It would be a nice way to bring in more people, more families, to stay open late. It's nice to have something to do on a weekend evening. And when I asked the gentleman something about it in the first conversation, he said that he can't really afford it. And I said, well, get volunteers. People in Sierra Madre love to volunteer. And I also mentioned, when we call you, we can't get you. We get some other place, and they don't know your schedule, and then you have to wait on the phone, and by that time, it might be too late. So I will condemn them, and I will say to them, this is great. You put out a flyer, but you don't have anything about, please come on a Saturday night, bring your family. There's a place to have a picnic. We really need to sell our pool more. I don't know anything about the finances of it. I'm willing to serve on a community service commission as a swimmer. It's great, but we need more of it, and we need to have it run in such a way that you're always welcome. And if there's a lane free and people want to swim, let them swim. Thank you.
So I noticed that our city manager was taking notes. Can you get a hold of?
We heard this public comment at the Community Services Commission. We've already contacted Waterworks and their manager, and we're awaiting a response.
Okay, thank you.
I think on that point, we were going to put together a community advisory committee, I think for years. And I don't know if we ever did that.
I think we had trouble actually recruiting people,
know,
so
we
Ms.
already
Carol
have
Parker,
one.
No,
I
know,
think
but we
we've
have
got
one now.
some.
We have one.
4 years, and they said they didn't need one.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
really?
so we have one.
We can revisit that, and
Yeah.
it looks like you're a volunteer.
Thank you. Do we have any other comment of items not on the agenda? Having none, then we can go with our proclamation. So if Jockey Mike Smith would like to meet me at the podium. So you've probably already heard that we give the best proclamation anybody in LA County. So this is a certificate of recognition of City of Sierra Madre to Mike Smith, 2018 Triple Crown winning jockey. Whereas Mike Smith, the Sierra Madre resident, has become one of only a few jockeys to ride a Triple Crown winner, and whereas Mike Smith guided Justify to win the Santa Anita Derby, and 4 weeks later won the Kentucky Derby during the pouring rain to earn his second win, and the first jewel of the Triple Crown. And whereas the pair's success continued in Baltimore, as Smith and Justify won the Preakness Stakes. 3 weeks later, Smith skillfully guided Justify around the Belmont Park Oval, setting the pace and rolling home to win the Belmont Stakes, and with it, the Triple Crown. And whereas Mike Smith is an example of perseverance and dedication, and his efforts show that hard work leads to accomplishing great feats. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Sierra Madre hereby recognizes Mike Smith and offers its sincere congratulations in winning the Triple Crown. Presented this 26th day of June, 2018, Sierra Madre City Council, Mayor Denise Delmar, Mayor Pro Tem John Harabedian, Council Members Rochelle Arizmendi, John Capoccia, and Jean Goss. Thank you so much.
Incredible honor. I'm very, very honored. Thank you so much. I've been a resident here now, I believe, over 12 years. The wonderful thing about Sierra Madre is we also have we have 2 Triple Crown winners. That's right. We have Victor Espinoza who lives there, so that's really good for up and coming aspiring riders. They're gonna think Sierra Madre is a place to live if you want to win a Triple Crown. So we might get more people to move into Sierra Madre, but.
It's in the water.
Must be that pool or something. But anyway, just very, very honored. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing couple of weeks since we've been so blessed to accomplish this, and this just tops it all off. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you mind giving your- Sue, would you like to join us? No.
Now there's only 3 of us. I think we can all kind of be in one row.
All right, everyone. 2.
What about any community members want to come up? Anyone that wants to? Seriously, a photo with Mike?
I'm standing right here.
Yeah, Philly's up here. Come on, let's go.
Already got his.
I already got one. Oh, you did?
Carol wants to come up.
Yeah.
The Alcorns, I'm sure, want to come up. Barry,
Heck yeah.
Anybody else?
Get in here, Dad. Dad, get close.
Oh, we got one
One more. We got one more.
Hey, everybody say cheese.
Oh, am I the only one in here from seeing? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. No, I'll just say, while Mike's still here, it's a tradition. Whenever we go to the track, and we go a lot, we always bet on Mike Smith. It's just, no, and it's true, and I'm not just saying that. So,
And also, I'm sorry, I forgot to announce your fiance, Cynthia.
You'll be moving in soon.
Good.
Yeah,
Good. And Pete
congratulations.
Sibrel, it was all, Pete, makes the track run on
Yep,
a daily basis.
thank you,
so
Pete.
If it wasn't for Pete, it wouldn't all happen. So thank you guys.
Cynthia, welcome to Sierra Madre. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're trying to get him
Yeah,
in.
we're gonna make keep the date open. That was cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay. So before we go to the consent agenda, we do need to hear from our city council about our closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The council did meet in closed session this evening with its labor negotiator to receive an update on the status of labor negotiations, and no action was taken. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Next is our consent items. We are pulling 1A. City Manager, would you like to announce B, C, and D?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 items. Consent item 1B, appointment of commissioners and trustees for a second term. Item 1C, adoption of resolution 18-33 of the City Council of the City of Sierra Madre approving certain demands. Item 1D, appointment of Mayor Pro Tem Harabedian as a second alternate voting delegate for the League of California Cities annual conference and business meeting in September 2018.
Do I have any questions?
No questions.
No.
I don't have any questions. I would like to do an explanation. Councilmember Rochelle Arizmendi and myself are the voting delegates for our League of City. And this time of the year, it happens in September, and my husband and I will be expecting our grandson around that time, so I didn't want to make the commitment to go to League of Cities and then miss it because of the birth of a grandson or being there. So that's why we've asked Mayor Pro Tem Harabedian to step in as second. Okay.
I'm just gonna, I'll comment really quickly since, to piggyback off of that. I know I will not be in attendance, so that means that you have to be in attendance. And I am no longer gonna be on the board for the league, I think starting in September, so.
Okay. Cool. Do we have any public comment on the consent items? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Do you have any comments about any of these?
No comments. I'll move all 3 items for approval.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Motion carries. Next up on our agenda is a public hearing, our ordinance 1399, amending and reauthorizing the city's public educational and governmental access support fee. And who do we have to present that?
Good
Mr.
evening,
Carlson.
Madam Mayor and City Council members. Item number 2 for you this evening is Ordinance 1399, amending Ordinance 1398 and reauthorizing the city's public, educational, and governmental access support fee. You may recall in January, City Council passed Ordinance 1398, which did reauthorize the city's PEG access support fee. However, there was a typographical error in the ordinance and thus the need for the amendment. Ordinance 1398 erroneously listed a 2% fee to be collected from the state franchise holder. The maximum amount that the city of Sierra Madre is allowed to collect is 1%. And this is the percentage that has always been collected and is also the correct percentage to be collected to fund the city's community channel and its operations. Therefore, staff is recommending that the City Council hold a public hearing, receive testimony, and introduce the ordinance 1399 by first reading, or for first reading by title only, which reauthorizes fees paid by to the city by the state video franchise holders for the PEG purposes. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
None from me.
And for me,
I actually didn't compare it, thank you for the presentation, to, from the first presentation, what was the cost difference in terms of, was it just double, since it's 2% and the 1%?
Well, no, the 1% what we've always been collecting, that gets us about $27,972 per year, about $28,000 per year. Actually, that's what it costs to do community media of the foothills. We collect about $32,000 per year in PEG fees, so every once in a while it is quite variable. But if we have a couple $1,000s left over, it goes into the bank and we get some new equipment from time to time.
Thank you.
So it's pretty much a wash.
so matter of protocol, do we need to open public hearing?
Yes, Mayor, I believe that's correct.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for Ordinance 1399, amending Ordinance 1398, reauthorizing the city's public educational and government PEG access support fee. Do we have anybody in the audience who would like to comment? Seeing no one rushing down to the podium, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council. What's your pleasure?
I don't have any items to comment on or discuss on it.
Me neither. I'll move ordinance 1399 for approval.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries. Our next item is an item for discussion, consideration of support of Assembly Bill 533 Holden regarding the 710 North project.
Madam Mayor, considering some developments that were brought to my attention by Councilmember Mendy and about some potential amendments to the bill, I would just propose holding off and maybe pushing this to the next meeting. That would be okay?
I'm in agreement. We need to get some more information. City Manager, do you have enough direction for that?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. And wow, it's not even 7 o'clock yet.
You're just trying to beat my record.
I'm trying. We have our last item, which is consideration of Resolution 1835. And City Manager?
We'll turn it over to HR Manager Hernandez.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. On June 30th, the MOUs for the Classified Employees Association and the Police Officers Association will expire. Over the last few months, the city's management negotiating team has met with the Classified Employees Association, CEA, and the Police Officers Association, POA, to negotiate new terms and conditions. Both parties agreed to a 5-year contract with the opportunity to reopen negotiations through a limited reopener in years 3, 4, and 5, and a 1.9 cost of living salary increase for fiscal year 2018-19 for all employees, excluding management employees and part-time employees. The staff report provided lists additional items negotiated, if you have any questions on those. Staff is recommending consideration of adopting Resolution 1835, adopting a memorandum of understanding with the Classified Employees Association, and Resolution 1836, adopting the memorandum of understanding with the Sierra Madre Police Officers Association, and Resolution 1837, amending the salary matrix, classification plan and salary matrix, which will reflect the changes in the MOUs.
Thank you.
That concludes the staff report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from council?
Yeah, thank you, Manager Hernandez. Just to clarify, due to the vote that was taken, I believe it's today, by the POA, it made changes on the impact on the general fund for year 1 and year 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be total impact of $60,600 for the first year as opposed to $86,000.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
Just one I guess, highlight, to clarify, other than the cost of living increases, the only thing above a cost of living increase that we're giving is, if I'm reading this correctly, is to the water employees, and that's at 5%. Is that correct for the next fiscal year?
Correct. For this fiscal year, yes, in addition to the 1.9 cost of living increase for employees, water employees will be receiving a 5% salary increase.
In lieu of the 1.9?
In lieu of the 1.9,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll open it up for public comment. Oh, public comment on item number 4.
Good evening again, Mayor Delmar and council members. I'm Barry Gold. The question of whether or not to give the city employees a raise has come at a very unfortunate time. I believe that we're facing costs of replacing our deteriorating water pipes that'll be around $30 million. Also, the last I heard, we have an unfunded CalPERS liability in excess of $10 million. The repairs to our city streets and sidewalks are going to cost several more millions of dollars. And soon the state of California is going to mandate that Sierra Madre, along with every other city in the state, treat their stormwater runoff, the water that hits our streets from rain and just flows down into the ocean. We're going to have to treat it before it gets to the ocean. Now, the person who knows the most about this stormwater program, in my opinion, is Councilmember Capocha. He's not here tonight, but that's okay. I remember a year ago, he gave a report on this subject, and he estimated that Sierra Madre's cost for the stormwater cleanup will be $25 million. Put all these things together and others that I'm not even mentioning, and we are facing about $100 million of expenses that we can no longer avoid. No matter how deserving our hardworking, loyal, dedicated city employees are, how can we possibly give them money that we don't have? I know that this money is in the budget, but I believe that that money and other dollars in the budget should have been allocated to more infrastructure repairs. I think that you should delay any decision to give any raises at this time. It's just not a good time for Sierra Madre to add to its expenses. And I think our employees are very well knowledgeable about our financial situation, and that they should understand that postponing for a year any raises and leaving everything the way it is for now is really the best thing to do. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Debbie Sheridan, Valley Vista Drive. I would like to second everything that Barry Gold said. And my only question is, why is it the water employees that are getting a 5% raise? That was not clear at all. And I would like to say this does seem to be an unfortunate time to be giving our hardworking employees a raise. Thank you very much.
I'm Pat Alcorn. I disagree with the last two speakers. I think that our employees, our public employees, are our finest asset. And I do believe that they deserve a cost of living raise at the this time. I know you're negotiating the current MOU, so this is going to be a 5-year agreement. And if we don't do it now, when will we do it?
Thank you. Do you have any other comment? There was a question regarding the 5% salary increase for our water fund employees.
Our water department employees are required to hold specific certifications in order to do what they do. And over the last 2 years, we've lost some employees to other to water districts or the private sector that they would do a little bit less with the certifications they have, but it would make a little bit more money than what we're paying here. So for the water, in order to the employees that we currently have that want to be here, that like being here, giving them a little bit extra, I think it goes a long way when we're for the employees that are deserving of the increase of the 5%. Specifically, the certification that is required for them to do their job. It's a little extensive.
And Manager Hernandez, can you also, I believe with the 5% increase, that still puts them below our neighboring cities, and I think it was something comparable to a step 2 of where they are at average in other.
Correct, and some of our neighboring cities, in doing the study, with the 5% pay increase for our water department employees, it would still be considerably less. For example, like a step 2 in a city like South Pasadena. So we're still under market when it comes to our water employees.
Mayor, could I just add on to that when we talk about spending? When we talk about water specifically, they get more calls for service than fire does in the city. The new budget that council adopted, water spending is, including the increased water spending, is reduced by $1 million, and infrastructure spending is 7 times higher than it was 2 years ago. So the fund is being managed very well, and we can all rest assured that the employees, even after the raise, will still be the lowest paid of any water employees in the valley.
Thank you. I think that for to expand on that a little bit, working in the field of compensation that I do, when you come across a job that is hard to fill like this, you need to be as competitive as you possibly can, because just as our employees can go someplace else, we have to be able to attract them, especially when we're dealing with and we're investing so much in our water infrastructure in the next couple of years. We want to make sure we have those on staff that we need. Anything else from our council?
I'd just like to ask us, Mr. City Manager, when is the CalPERS, well, actually, the unfunded liability plan coming forward to City Council?
The very exciting unfunded liability plan will be the second meeting in July 24th.
Great, thank
you.
you.
And you guarantee that it's very exciting?
It is very exciting to me.
Okay.
You know, just a few comments. One, I'd like to just thank both management representing the city and also those representing the bargaining units for conducting historically one of the most efficient bargaining processes that I've been a member of as a council member, and frankly one of the least contentious. And not that, you know, there was punches thrown before, but you know, there were some years where this took a very long time and we went to impasse. And I think that given where we are as a city, we've come a long way from where we were then. So kudos to you guys for doing this. I think this is a great deal for the city. I think it's a great deal for the employees. I think that you can look at a 1.9% COLA as a pay raise. You know, that could be your opinion. I don't look at it as a pay raise. You know, I look at it as frankly a way of making sure that our employees are making the same relative to their purchasing power that they're making today. You know, I think you want to make sure that they keep up with inflation so that they're not getting paid less, frankly. And I think that a lot of folks in the private sector will argue, well, you know, we don't get automatic COLAs, and I think that's true, but the salaries that our employees are getting here in the city are not, frankly, competitive in the private sector. And I think that the COLAs are important, not only for morale, but I think they're just important to make sure that our employees can support themselves and their families. I think the 5% for the water employees is, like any managed organization, this is a necessary lever that we're using to stay competitive and to make sure that we can keep up with one of the most demanding services that we are providing on a daily basis. I mean, the city manager said more calls from our water department than our fire department, and it's the training and the certifications that these employees need to do the job and do the job well are significant, and they could walk to another city or another agency and get paid more to frankly do less. A meter reader for the county, and we've seen this, we lost a very good utility employee who took frankly a demotion to be a meter reader in the county, and is getting paid more with better benefits. And we just don't want to see that continue to happen. So I think a 5% pay increase on, frankly, salaries that aren't, that could be higher, is a good deal for the city. And I hope that the employees through this process think it's a good deal too. So you look at the fiscal impact, I think the public comments are well taken. I think that the city will always be in a general fund, and a water fund, and a sewer fund crunch. I mean, we're never going to be a city that's flush with cash. But I think that we're managing it properly, and I think if you look at the fiscal impact over the next 2 fiscal years, you're looking at give or take $100,000 as a percentage of our general fund and as a percentage of our sewer and our water fund. It's minuscule. I mean, it's literally, it doesn't even get to the 1% mark. So. It's probably 0.5% if I had to do the math, and I'm not good at math, so I'm looking at our city manager. But whatever it is, it's extremely small, and I think if we can continue retaining, well-performing employees that are happy here for that price, I think that's a job well done. So I'm in full support of this.
I just want to add that one of the things that I'm very excited about with this MOU is the statement that only employees who receive a meets expectations or higher on their review previous to the adoption of this MOU will be eligible for the step increase. So this goes to, we don't do the MOU, we don't do the increases in a vacuum. This is all part of a compensation philosophy that the city manager and staff are working on that hopefully we'll be able to adopt as a city council, a way that we can keep the best employees, because we really do have some dynamite employees here that we want to keep. We don't want them to go to, other cities. We want to retain them as much as we can here. And this is a 5-year plan, which I don't think we've ever done before. So that's a real coup to you two to get a 5-year plan going. And the fiscal impact really is not significant that it would put us in debt or go bankrupt. But it does allow for us to at least acknowledge to our employees that we do value them and that we do expect performance on our expectations. And so I thank you for that, and I'm in support.
In my day job, I oversee a organization that's about $30 million in operational expenses in a year, and about 350 employees. And I think what's important, what I see there and what I see here, is looking at the bigger picture. And just like the mayor said, it's not a vacuum where you're seeing just one piece of it. And when we look at what we've been able to do over the last 1.5 years, 2 years, and seeing in terms of reducing our FTEs probably by about 10, going to professional fire department, recognizing that we have an unfunded liability issue that we're going to tackle in a couple of weeks, and exciting is an interesting description there, but I know that the plans in place is really to address it and not to just pass the buck down to the next city council and for our city residents to suffer through that in the next couple of years. So I know that will be an aggressive plan. The investment to our infrastructure, looking that we have investing 7 times more than we have before, and also saving $1 million in expenses in this past year, and putting all of those pieces together and understanding that the impact for year 1 is about $60,000 in our general fund, and possibly in year 2 maybe about, I think we were looking at $40,000. So yeah, like Mayor Pro Tem was saying, about $100,000 in the next 2 years. Looking at retaining our staff, in the investments that we're putting into our infrastructure, I think it's a necessary change. But also recognizing, too, that this is a 5-year plan where, as we're looking in the upcoming years, the items that will be negotiated, I think the time that we'll be spending on the negotiation might be reduced also with our staff time as well as the time with the City Council, but really being able to hone in on specific issues. I think this puts our staff in a good place where they have not felt that consistency over the last at least 4 or 5 years that we've been on council. But there's always been question, what's going to happen next year? What is salary going to look like? This will give some of that just reassurance as where we're looking the next 4 or 5 years. And as we're investing into things like our infrastructure and planning for the next 5, 10 years, I think this provides that foundation where we will be assured that our staff were taken care of, and that we are looking at a pay per performance, and that we are holding each other accountable as City Council and as our staff and as management. So I just want to thank all of those that were involved. It really was a streamline. I remember closed sessions that were lasting 2 hours when we're talking about negotiations. So I appreciate all of the work that's been done outside of closed session from management. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I do need a motion.
Move to approve 1835, 1836, and 1837.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the last of our items. Do we have anything for future items?
I think the issue about the pool and that community advisory committee, I don't know if we need to agendize it necessarily for a formal discussion item. I do think we need to get that up and running, because I think you hear more and more about, folks that want to give feedback to the pool, and it'd be easier if we had a committee, I think, so.
Well, can we just go ahead and put it on the agenda? At least we'll get some public and see if we have some interested community members and what it would entail.
Certainly.
We have one already.
Yeah.
Anything else? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
And just a reminder, we have a parade and July 4th and July 3rd activities coming up next week. We hope that you all participate in that. Thank you.
Thank you.